Welcome to the fourth part in our ABC of off-roading series with the Jimny. In this episode, we are taking things up several notches. We are at Pro Dirt Adventure, a massive off-road playground outside of Pune. We don't have any man-made obstacles, none of that drama. Pure natural terrain, level 1, level 2 and level 3 trails, and we're going to show you how you can use the Jimny, harness the abilities and potential of the Jimny, and also give you tips and tricks to tackle these kind of trails better, safer, and of course have more fun. So before we go ahead, don't forget to hit that bell icon and stay notified for all the drops in this ABC of off-roading tutorial series. Give us a shout out if you enjoy this video, share it with like-minded off-roading enthusiasts, and tag somebody in the comments who needs to go off-roading. Pro Dirt has a number of trails on the property for motorcycles as well as 4x4s. This is an easy trail. This is what you would call a level 1 trail. In fact, level 1 trails are what we find on our city streets, our pothole-ridden city streets every single day. So I won't bore you with that. We'll go straight to level 2 and then level 3 trails. And when you hit level 2 trails, especially now when it is a little wet after the overnight rains, you need 4x4. Level 2 trails is where the fun really starts. Here, you will need 4x4 in most places. Some places which are dry, you can also do it in rear-wheel drive. The Jimny has got solid capability. It's not just the fact that it has 4x4, but also the way the vehicle has been engineered in terms of its size, in terms of its weight, 1200 kilos. We'll see that later on in this tutorial episode, where we'll show you how the low weight helps you so much, especially in recovery and also getting out of sticky situations. The Jimny, the suspension, softer suspension, lots of compliance, doesn't get thrown around by ruts. The small size helps in getting through narrow patches without damaging the car. So there's a lot of Jimny-ness which we'll talk about later on in this episode. You're driving in two-wheel drive, you see a bad patch, and while you're driving itself, you can switch it into four-wheel drive and get going. Now suppose you don't need four-wheel drive on this patch, all you need to do is, and this is just while driving, just move the lever in front and you're back into rear-wheel drive or two-wheel drive mode on the Jimny. All of this happens on the fly, so you don't have to stop for it. When you hit serious trails, then neutral, press the lever and move it backwards, and that is for low. You also have an indicator here, so the green indicator is for 4x4. When you're in 4 low, ESP switches off and you have that ESP off sign, and that's your indicator that you are into 4 low. Now you can't use 4 low all the time, because if you're on a wet or slippery patch, 4 low is just going to spin the tires, because you're going to send a lot of torque to the tires. So it's just going to spin up unnecessarily and you will get stuck. Number one rule of off-roading, if you're not confident, back up a little and go and check it out. I'll just do that. So what we're doing here are pure natural trails. There are no artificial obstacles out here, and for that you got to be a little careful where you're going. The grass has grown quite tall with the rains this season, so you can't see the rocks also underneath, and that's why it's essential to have a spotter. So I have Sunny from Pro Dirt Adventure spotting for me, and that makes things very simple. In fact, it makes things much safer. Now this is like a slushy patch. You need grip, you need a little torque. That's what the Jimny gives you, especially in low ratio. Now here's an incline, which again is mud. I've got it into 4 low just to give me more control over proceedings. And I have to say, the Jimny actually makes things seem and look very easy. And the big benefit of the Jimny, honestly, is the suspension compliance. So all the ruts that you see, it soaks that in. Unlike in other 4x4s where you might jump through it, it'll throw you off. The Jimny doesn't throw you off, so it is more planted and stable. And that gives you more confidence in the whole off-roading shenanigans. So again, this is like a natural side slope on the grass, which is wet. The thrill of doing this in natural terrain is something else, honestly.
And that is exactly why you always get a second car when you are going off the road. As you can see, the first Jimny, that's stuck. We are going to tow it out using the second Jimny now.
So now what do you do on recovery? First things first, obviously always wear your seatbelt no matter what. I've got the Jimny behind, that's got me hooked on. Make sure handbrake is down, put it into the gear. So if you're being pulled from the back, put it into reverse gear. Give a shout out to your guy. You also give it little gas. So while they're pulling, you also give it some gas to help it out. And that just makes it so easy. Of course, use your rear view parking camera to make sure you don't go too close to the car that's towing you. And you've got it towed out. It's actually very simple. Always in your 4x4, keep a tow strap, keep tow shackles, and you can get either another 4x4 or tractors are everywhere when you go out of the beaten track in India. Use a tractor, get yourself towed out, and then go back at it. So never give up. What we're doing now is we are backing up, getting a little bit more momentum. So some run up for a little bit more momentum. Also, you then pick your track. Don't go on the same place, obviously, because you've already dug that in. So now you pick your track, get a little bit of momentum, windows up because it's going to fly. Also, like I said in the earlier tutorial, bring yourself close to the steering wheel so you have leeway. And I put it into 4 high. I don't want to put it into 4 low and have too much wheel spin, so I've kept it into 4 high. That is better. So now a little bit more momentum. You go through the slush, pachak, give it a little gas. So the mistake we made over here is that we didn't get out and walk the track before driving the Jimny up. Had we walked the track, we would have actually figured out the right line where the Jimny could have come through, but we didn't do that. So now we have to indulge in recovery. And recovery is part and parcel of the whole off-roading experience. So learn to experience and enjoy that as well. So this is what's called a seesaw. What we've done is we've gone over the mount, and since we've had to climb it sideways at an angle, it's gone over the mount, but the mount has actually beached the Jimny. So we've got the wheels up in the air and now it is stuck. So this is called rocking the car. What we're trying to do is rock the car side to side so that the wheels get some traction and we can either go in front or at the back. Now this hasn't worked, so we're going to try another recovery technique. So that's called pushing your car. That's also not working because if you can see, we've beached the car and the rails are actually on the ground. So it's completely resting on its underbody and the wheels are loose. And that's why we always bring a backup car to pull it out. So now to recover, I've put it into 4 low so that I get all the torque and the grunt that I get. I'm going to go back. He's going to go in front, Nelly in the other Jimny that's doing the seesaw. First, inch back and tighten up the slack in the tow rope. Okay, and now going back, give it some gas, pull, 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 pull. Yep, and he's out of there. Once you actually put your tow ropes and get all of that done correctly, then pulling it is actually very easy. And we haven't damaged that little plant out there also. Off-roaders have another saying, tread lightly. And that's what we're doing, not damaging the environment that we are in because this is all natural terrain. So we're leaving it as it is. Also, remember, don't litter the place. Don't throw your bottles all over the place. Always have it in your car. And then at the end of it, throw it in a dustbin. Level 3 trails are no laughing matter. If you are nervous, I suggest don't do it. Also go with proper equipment and recovery gear. I don't mean to scare you, but you need to build up your skill levels to be able to eventually take on trails such as these. No point going in there as a noob, getting into trouble, and then you will be off-roading for the rest of your life. You want to have fun with off-roading, right? It's good to learn. Go step by step. Learn to walk before you go and run. So here's a good example of how the Jimny's size makes a huge difference in fitting into these narrow trails. So you don't have space on the left, we got this log on the right, and because of the narrow dimensions, you can actually fit in and don't have to bother with lifting the log and struggling through. And the square design of the Jimny, what Suzuki calls functional beauty, it actually helps in this because you can see the absolute edges of the bonnet. Everything is clearly visible. You can see the wheel arches in your mirror, so you can place it with millimeter perfect accuracy. Functional beauty. It's also the inherent Jimnyness of the Jimny in the design, in the way it has been made, the lightweight. It all harks back to everything that we remember and love about the Gypsy. Even this clamshell bonnet is similar to what we actually had on the Gypsy. Now, in terms of driving, as we've always stressed in the past also, thumbs always outside the steering wheel, especially in these low speed maneuvering tests that we have over here. Always thumbs outside so that when the steering kickbacks, you won't snap your thumbs or hurt yourself. But that said, the Jimny actually has a steering damper, so that violent snapbacks that you get if you've been off-roading in the past and you struggled with that, you don't get that with the Jimny because of the steering damper. The steering also, it's a recirculating ball steering, not the rack and pinion steering that we have on our regular hatchbacks. And while on the road, you have to put in a lot of steering angle. Out here, you can place it with absolute millimeter precision. Also, this perpendicular shape of the dashboard, everything is at right angles to each other. So you can see so clearly outside. You don't have to struggle. Everything is clearly visible. You also have this notch in the door, so you can see even further out. So you can actually see the black plastic cladding that's sticking out, and that actually works as a body protector also, so that it minimizes scratches while driving through jungles like this. So this tight, narrow gap between the trees, easiest thing to do, put your window down. And now that you know that there is space, you go as close as possible to this tree stump out here, inch slowly, use your mirrors to see what you're passing by and go through. Size is great. If you have a big monster, it's great for being noticed in the city, but out here on these trails, the smaller your car, the more manageable it is, the easier it is to get through this. Like that spot over there, if you had anything wider, you couldn't have gone through, so you couldn't have gone further into the jungle. On a natural trail like this, there are plenty of things that can damage your paint. The branches, the twigs sticking out, but that's not a problem on the Jimny because of all the unpainted resin bodywork that it has, all the black bodywork that you see, that does not show scratches. So that lets you push forward in these jungles without having to worry about damaging your paintwork or your shiny new car. Take it home, wash it up, and it's as good as new. The Jimny also has very short front and rear overhangs, and that gives it amazing approach and departure angles. 36 degrees approach angle, 47 degrees departure angle. And this is another thing I have to repeatedly point out on the Jimny. The suspension compliance. I went through that slush patch and there was like a big dip in it, but it didn't bounce and jump out of the track. It stayed planted and stable. And that's where the soft suspension, it really makes a huge difference in making off-roading easier and safer. It gives you confidence. Now there is this big misconception that you need to have big fat tires to go off-roading, and I'm here to tell you that that is not true. The Jimny, it has narrower tires, but these are right sized for the vehicle. So when you're in these narrow tracks, it's easier to place the Jimny. Normally on these off-road tracks that trucks and tractors go through, you have that big mound in the center. So you want to avoid that mound. With the narrow track of the Jimny and the narrower tires, you can place it on the edge and you can go through without risking damaging your underbody. And plus, these narrow tires, they dig into the loose top surface and find grip and traction on the stronger surface underneath. So these narrow tires aren't a problem. In fact, they are actually a benefit. If you plan on spending more time off the road than on it, the first upgrade that you will probably have is all-terrain tires. These do give you better grip on off-road surfaces, but they are more noisy on the road. And then the even bigger upgrade is mud tires. These will really bite into loose surfaces, into the mud, but on the road they are very loud. So it's all a compromise. The Jimny showroom stock is really the best compromise of off-roading, on-roading, the use cases that a typical Jimny owner and an off-road enthusiast like myself will be pushing our vehicles through. This is our long-term test Jimny. So we aren't looking to break it because we want to use this and enjoy this over the next 6 months. This is sort of like my daily driver. So I want to keep it nice and clean. I don't want to get it scratched up. So everything that we're showing you in this tutorial is something that you can do with your own Jimny without fear of damaging it, of scratching it, of breaking it, and of ruining your experience with the Jimny. A big tip that I can give you is to invest. Now, I don't mean investing in more equipment and expensive equipment. I mean investing in yourself. Sign up for off-road training courses that places like Pro Dirt Adventure offer. They also have train instructors. They will take your skill levels from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. And while they're at it, they'll make sure that you enjoy the whole experience and become ardent off-roading fans. And of course, watch videos such as these. If you have any more questions, drop it in the comments. We are always happy to engage with our viewers. Oh, another thing I should mention. Off-roading is not done at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Off-roading is not about speed. Off-roading is about tackling obstacles and tackling obstacles in a manner that makes sure that you drive your same 4x4 back home, get it nicely washed up, and on Monday, it's ready to take you to work.
That's it in episode 4 in our ABC of Off-Roading series. In the next episode, we show you how to deal with water crossings. And more importantly, tell you what not to do.
Before you go out onto a water crossing, somebody has to get their feet and pants and underwear also probably wet. So we got our spotter, Sunny is helping us out over here, and he's out in the stream checking how deep it is. Right now, it's not only very deep, but there is a very strong current.